Okay, I want to talk about maybe the most dangerous phrase in the English language.
Go on.
We're on a break. 4 words. Absolute chaos every single time.
I mean, it literally powered 10 seasons of a sitcom, so you're not wrong.
Right. And here's what gets me. The reason Ross and Rachel could argue about it for a decade is because neither of them was fully wrong. They just had completely different definitions of what that break meant.
Okay, but I'd push back a little. I think one person usually knows exactly what they mean when they say it. The problem is they don't say the rest of the sentence.
What do you mean, the rest of the sentence?
Like, it's never just, let's take a break. In their head, it's, let's take a break so I can figure out if I want to leave, or let's take a break but I still expect loyalty. There's always a silent second clause that never gets spoken.
That's actually a really good way to put it. The silent second clause. Because you're right. I read this study from a Kansas State research group that found that about 60% of couples who take breaks never explicitly define the rules.
Wait, seriously? 60% just wing it?
Just wing it! No conversation about whether they can see other people. No timeline. No check-in plan. Just vibes and anxiety.
That's wild. Although honestly, I kind of get it. Because the moment you start negotiating the terms of your break, it starts feeling like a breakup with a contract.
Sure, it's uncomfortable. But isn't that discomfort exactly why people need to have that conversation? Like, the ambiguity is what causes the damage.
I agree the ambiguity causes damage, but I think there's something deeper going on. The person who suggests the break and the person who receives it are in fundamentally different psychological positions.
Oh, 100%. The person who initiates it has had time to think about it. They've been rehearsing it in their head. They've already emotionally moved a few steps ahead.
Exactly. And the person on the receiving end is just standing there processing a bomb that just went off, so they agree to terms they don't fully understand because they're in shock.
And then the initiator often interprets that agreement as mutual understanding. We both decided this. No, one person decided it, and the other one was too blindsided to object.
Right, right. So now you've got one person thinking this is a healthy space for reflection, and the other person lying awake at 3 a.m. wondering what they did wrong.
Which brings up the big question. Does the person on a break get to see other people?
And this is where it gets really messy, because I think the answer genuinely depends on which person you ask, and both answers feel valid to the person giving them.
See, I actually think if you didn't explicitly say, we can see other people, then you can't see other people. It's that simple.
But wait, if you're on a break, you're saying the relationship is paused. If it's paused, the rules of the relationship are also paused. You can't have it both ways.
I totally disagree. A pause isn't a stop. If you pause a movie, the movie isn't over. You don't start a different movie.
Okay, that's a great analogy. I'll give you that. But people aren't movies. And the reason the pause metaphor breaks down is that people have needs and emotions that don't pause.
Fair. But that's kind of my whole point. The language of a break is inherently a lie. It promises something temporary and clean, but relationships are neither of those things.
Now that I fully agree with, the word break does a ton of heavy lifting to disguise what's really happening, which is usually one person wanting distance without the guilt of ending things.
Yes, it's breakup light. All the separation, half the accountability.
Okay, and I know this is an unpopular take, I think breaks can sometimes genuinely work. Not often, but sometimes.
When? Give me a scenario.
When both people are honestly overwhelmed by external stuff, work, family, mental health, and they need space not from each other, but from the pressure of maintaining a relationship during a crisis.
Okay, I hear you. But even in that case, isn't the healthier move to stay together and just communicate about needing more individual space? Why do you need to invoke the word break?
Because sometimes the obligation itself is the weight. Even a supportive partner is still someone you feel accountable to, and some people need to not feel accountable to anyone for a minute.
I mean, I get that intellectually, but emotionally, If my partner said, I need to not feel accountable to you, I'd be devastated.
Which is exactly why the phrase, we need a break, exists in the first place. It's softer. It's coded language for something that's really hard to say directly.
So we're back to the core problem. The phrase exists because the truth is too painful, but the phrase itself creates a different kind of pain because nobody knows what it means.
It's a paradox, yeah. The vagueness is the feature and the bug.
You know what I think the real issue is? People treat a break like it's a third category. Not together, not broken up, but that category doesn't actually exist.
I'd push back on that. I think it does exist, but only if both people build it intentionally, like with actual rules, a timeline, a reason they both understand.
But how often does that happen? You said yourself 60% don't define any rules.
Almost never, which is why it almost never works. But the concept isn't broken. The execution is.
See, I think the concept is broken. Because even if you set perfect rules, you can't legislate feelings. One person will spend the break missing the other person, and the other will spend it feeling free. And that gap is the real problem.
That's actually a really good point. The asymmetry isn't just in the rules, it's in the emotional experience of the break itself.
Exactly. One person is grieving, and the other is breathing easier. And when they come back together, those two experiences don't reconcile.
So maybe that's the real takeaway. It's not that people need better rules for breaks. It's that they need to be honest about the fact that suggesting a break is already a statement about where you are.
Yeah, if you have to pause the relationship to figure out if you want it, that is your answer. You just don't want to hear it yet.
And neither does the other person, which is why they both agree to the break instead of facing what's actually happening.
Man, we need a break is really just two people agreeing to not say the hard thing at the same time.
A mutual conspiracy of avoidance. Yeah, that might be the most honest way to describe it.